Hello, and welcome to Interfaith Connections, a talk show program where we are building bridges and closing gaps. We are taking this opportunity to showcase people here in the Washington, D.C. metro area, their faith and spiritual perspectives, and how they utilize it in their daily lives to educate and promote their issues within the community. I am your host, Jackie Fuller. A little bit about my background. I currently serve as the Volunteer Outreach Coordinator for the Spiritual Social Action Committee at Unity of Fairfax. It gives me the opportunity to interact with different faith traditions here in Northern Virginia, but I want to do a bit more and take it to television where people can see in their homes firsthand what is happening in their community and how they can get involved in different activities to promote peace and religious understanding. We have 3 guests here today that will provide different perspectives and insight on how their faith and spirituality ties in with what they do and how they are helping others. Our first guest is Reventon Minor, who is an interfaith minister as well as secretary of the Order of Universal Interfaith. Our second guest is an author as well as an entrepreneur, and her name is Dr. Anita Nahal, who will provide insight on her latest book. And finally, we are featuring a local artist. Her name is Leah, who has performed in various areas here in the D.C. metro area, and her work has been compared to Tracy Chapman. So hopefully you will enjoy this program, learn some new things, and be able to be inspired to see how you can take action in your community as well. So stay tuned and enjoy the program.
Hey there. Hi. I haven't seen you before.
Yeah, I just moved here. I'm new. Wanna hang out or something? 'Cause I have a feeling we're gonna be best friends.
Things can get pretty ugly when you're bored. In an after-school program, you can find something way better to do.
Saving for retirement might be easy for some folk, but for others, it might take a little more work. And for those who haven't started, there are still things you can do to catch up.
Oh, that is good news.
Like getting out from underneath past debt. And don't get wrapped up with high-interest credit cards.
Get you some eyes.
Be diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
I'm Bob Costas, and I've been broadcasting sports for a long time. Much of what I do is ad-libbed, but still one of the most important aspects of my job is being able to write. Narrations, essays, commentaries. It's essential to express those thoughts and concepts clearly and concisely. Good writing is essential for almost any career. And with today's advanced technology, the National Commission on Writing reports that the need to write well has never been more important. Writing is everybody's business.
Welcome back to Interfaith Connections. I am your host, Jackie Fuller. Our first guest today is Reventon Minor. He is an interfaith minister and secretary of the Order of Universal Interfaith. Glad to have you on the show.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie, for letting me come and be part of your initial inaugural presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. First question for you today. Can you give us some background about yourself and what is an interfaith minister?
Okay.
Exactly.
Over 30 years ago in New York City, Rabbi Joseph Gelberman began the first interfaith seminary called the New Seminary. It was a program that brought people from many different faiths together to learn about each other's faith paths, but not only to learn about them, but also how to begin to serve each other in their spiritual context. And from that grew the concept of the interfaith minister, that someone who was trained not only for one specific faith path, but to serve all people of all faiths. It's a very intense program that asks us to learn and to expand beyond ourselves and what our initial core beliefs are when we come into the program, so that we can literally become universal chaplains. And that's what the Order of Universal Interfaith is an ecclesiastic religious society incorporated here in Washington, D.C. that has over 500 clergy and lay members. They come from all different faith traditions, but all with a commitment that we're going to help and serve literally all people of all faiths. We like to think of ourselves as labelless, in that we don't want to exclude our service from somebody just by identifying with one specific faith path. Yes, we all have our own beliefs that are important to us and our core, but we are here to serve all people of all faiths.
Awesome. Wow.
Thank you.
Is there any specialized, unique training involved that's maybe a tad different from a traditional seminary?
Well, yes, as I said, there is a seminaries, and there are now a number of seminaries, not only in the United States but around the world. And while this has not been an accredited program, only within the last year or two are we beginning to see accredited seminary programs begin to open up their doors to people of different faith paths coming and taking classes together under one roof. So it's becoming a newer model for some seminary programs. But the training consists of really intense learning world religions and comparative religions, and from there learning to find ways to serve people of all faith paths. But it's not just people who are all faith paths. The Order of Universal Interfaith, we are content providers for what's called the SBNR community, the spiritual but not religious. Folks that truly don't want to identify with a specific faith path, but really have a strong spirituality to their life and want to uphold that. We're there through virtual community and through local communities providing soul care, building communities, and also serving, doing an awful lot of chaplaincy work, because that's really the model that we took on at the Order of Universal Interfaith, that of a universal chaplain, being able to go. I've served in hospice settings, going in some cases bed to bed, faith path to faith path, serving them, being a real good listener, and being there in a presence with them. But to go beyond and be able to talk and pray in the way that they would want to pray, and to serve their needs according to their faith path.
Okay. Also, I was curious to know your personal experience. Did this tie in with the reason why you want to become an interfaith minister?
I think that's probably, my background is probably very, very strong. I have to say that I come from a rather unique position. I came to the clergy late in life. These gray hairs testify to the wisdom that I've had to experience, obviously. But I started out as a military officer, a graduate at one of the United States military academies. Went off and served 30 years in the military, not a chaplain in that context, but during that time, one of my assignments was to be sent off by in this case, the Air Force was my background, sent off to various universities and I became a professor of world geography at the United States Air Force Academy. But even as a young man, I was fascinated by world religions. I actually have experienced and served many different faith paths as a member of many different kinds of denominations. Also, a real important thing that happened is my own family background. My family has, some of my closest relatives have married into other faith paths. They're still my family, and they're all part of different faith paths, and I love them all very much. And just because they have chosen a specific church to go to does not exclude them, and have never lost that. And once that happens, you begin to realize that it's the person that's more important than the set of core teachings of somebody else, actually. So we all have learned to walk our own path, and that it's in that context that being an interfaith minister has become very, very important to me, because it's what I have done all my life.
In your work and being out in the community, are there any challenges, any hurdles in regards to educating the people about different faith traditions, particularly if there's someone who may not be comfortable or aware of coming out of what they've learned their whole lives that they consider the truth? So how do you or an interfaith minister handle these type of issues?
Oh, that's really an important question, and that's there are some really core concepts. Besides interfaith, there are some new terms that are being used. Interspirituality would be one, first proposed, and by Brother Wayne Teasdale over a decade ago. Integral spirituality, we have folks that look upon that kind of framework of viewing the world's religions. It is an education process, and that's probably the very first thing that we all do as interfaith ministers is educate, just by our very presence and willingness to serve, to go beyond being the individual brick of a certain faith path, but to realize we're all part of a wall. We like to say that we as interfaith ministers are the mortar that joins all the bricks together into the great wall of human spirituality.
Cool.
And we're there to serve all people.
Awesome. Another question that just popped into my mind. With all the different issues and things we're seeing at different levels, ages in the community regarding interfaith, or I would say sometimes lack of interfaith, particularly with all the recent events that's been happening in the country, and also there's more young people who are interacting with people of other faith traditions, so I feel like there's this gap. And how do you see the interfaith movement in this country, or even in the world, as you're dealing with the conflicts on one side, and then you have the younger generations that are constantly promoting peace? They don't like what they see, and what is your perspective on all those?
Oh, that's really an interesting question. I think there is a generation gap. We have a population in this country, a young population that grew up with a sense of diversity, that they all have friends from many different cultures. I was lecturing to a group of high school students just last week, asking each of them raise your hands if you have a friend who's of a different faith path. Almost everybody did. And they're still your friends? Yes, they are. Didn't matter, did it? No, it didn't matter. We don't find that, obviously, in the older generations. We grew up in our boxes. Those of us with gray hairs of wisdom, we grew up in our box, and we're comfortable in our label. Our young people, they're very comfortable with diversity. Right. And I think that it's just a matter of, it will take time, and it will take almost an evolution in thought to move forward. It will just take time.
Okay, I totally understand. And I have a fun question to ask. Outside of your work, what are your hobbies? What are the things you would like to enjoy doing outside of your interfaith work?
Oh my goodness. Well, part of what I have really enjoyed is nature. When you teach world geography, part of my training also is in meteorology, and I'd love to deal in nature. In fact, I'm with a very select team because I have degrees in natural science and atmospheric science. We call ourselves eco-ministers in a way. Cool. We love to be out in the world and to educate in that way as well. But to be honest with you, this is not a job that pays an awful lot. While it is an incredible passion and an incredible calling, in the Christian background, those who are familiar with the evolution of the Christian church know that Paul wrote about how he was a tent maker while he was trying to develop a church and develop a thought.
Right.
And we all many of us have our outside employment opportunities. My fun passion is that actually marries with my ministry is I'm an airline pilot, and I'm a law enforcement chaplain at the same time to the law enforcement people who are flying on board my airplanes. So I get to minister and fly airplanes simultaneously here. So that's my passions and my calling and my avocation have all kind of come together in a rather unique way.
Oh, good. It's interesting you mentioned meteorology. That's one of my passions as well.
Well, I'd love to write a book sometime that says, I've looked at clouds from both sides now.
Oh, thank you. And if anyone wants to get in touch with you, learn more about you and your organization, how shall they contact you?
It's really easy through our website. The Order of Universal Interfaith is part of a broader umbrella called the Council of Interfaith Communities of the United States. But if you say the initials of Order of Universal Interfaith O-U-N-I, which is living the initials at www.ouni.org.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much, Reverend Minor, for coming on the show today. We appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And we'll be right back.
Following the tragic events of September 11th, there have been hundreds of violent attacks against innocent Americans.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
Remember, please stop the hate.
We're stronger when we are united.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
One nation under God.
Indivisible.
With liberty
and justice
for all.
In America, there's either room for everyone, or it's not America. Don't pick the wrong fight.
Let's keep America land of the free.
Stop the hate.
Reston Interfaith has been working for over 30 years to bring hope and relief to thousands of needy families and individuals in Fairfax County. Their social service programs include the Embry Rucker Community Shelter, which gives emergency lodging, food, and support to over 600 homeless men, women, and children a year. The Food Pantry, which provides food to low-income, elderly, and disabled persons. And the Laurel Learning Center, which offers quality, affordable childcare and family services to vulnerable working, low-income families. But none of these programs is possible without invaluable volunteer and financial help from caring individuals and organizations within our community. To learn how you can help, visit Reston Interfaith on the web at restoninterfaith.org or call 571-323-9555. Through your efforts, you can help Reston Interfaith make Fairfax County a better place for all of us.
Do you know how many kids are risking their health by eating unhealthy foods, stuffing themselves, and not getting any exercise?
Oh, thank goodness. You got here just in time. Where's the problem? In there.
Hey, what's going on? What are you doing?
Here, try this. The original fast food.
Doctors know that our children need a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, high-fiber vegetarian foods to help them grow up healthy. Call for a free booklet or visit kidsgethealthy.org.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Fuller, host of Interfaith Connections. Our second guest today is Dr. Anita Nahal. She is an author and entrepreneur here in the Washington, D.C. area, and we are honored to have her on our program today. Welcome, Dr. Nahal.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
And I'm very excited because I get to share with everyone your book titled Smile, Breathe, and Laugh Off a Layoff.
Right.
And as you know, there's a lot of folks out here who are unemployed, and this book could be a good avenue for them to get a different perspective on how to view their layoff. So I just want to, before we begin, I just want to get some background information about you so our guests get to have a better understanding of who you are and what you're about.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. Well, I'm originally from India and now living in the Arlington area. I just moved to Princeton, New Jersey, actually, to live with my son. And I'm a former professor. A lot of formers attached to my name. So former professor of history and a former assistant provost of international programs. And I have over 30 years of experience in teaching, research, administration, writing. I also write, I don't just write academic books, but I also write for children. I also write poetry. And I also am the founder and chairperson of my own website. It's called www.diversitydiscover.com. So that's my general background. And currently I'm in Princeton, New Jersey, living with my son. I have one son. Okay. I don't know if that's sufficient.
No, that's fine. It's good to know. There's, good to know, like, your family and everyone who's been there. Let's take this in perspective from the beginning. Your book. What inspired you to write a book about being laid off?
Right. And that's a good beginning because I was laid off myself twice in a short span of 6 months. I was first laid off in July 2011, and then I was brought back to the same institution in a better position with a better salary. And then about 2 months after that, I was laid off again. And after I was laid off the first time itself, I began thinking, when you go through a layoff, it's not like resigning from a job or retiring, because that's voluntary, but layoff is you're forced out. And so you start questioning yourself, who you are, what your value is, what do you want to do at this stage of life that you're laid off. And obviously, you go through a lot of challenges. You know, you're sad, you are anxious, you're anxious about money matters, financial matters. You're sad emotionally because you feel that maybe you were not worthy enough to be kept there. So you have a lot of questions in your mind, which I did too. And then I thought, why not put everything down in a book so that it would be cathartic. I write about it, it helps me. And in the process, I hope that it would help others who have been laid off. And as you said in the beginning, there's so many people in the United States and world over who have been laid off in the hundreds of thousands. So this was really the aim behind writing the book, to talk about my layoff and what I did to get over that phase of my life and how to move forward in a positive and cheerful demeanor.
Okay. And I also just love the cover. It's just, you have this relaxed look. So
Thank you.
What inspired you with the name and even the cover of your book?
Well, the picture comes from a portfolio I did. I've always been interested in modeling. And since I was a child, but I wasn't tall. So, and I thought, okay, now that I have been laid off, maybe I can pursue modeling, but could be, mother or a sister in advertisements, in print ads. So I got this portfolio done. The title comes from the fact that when you go through challenges, and first of all, when you go through challenges, my way of thinking is that I compare myself to others who are in a worse situation. And being laid off is not the worst of the things that can happen to you. There are people dying of hunger, or homelessness and poverty or abuse all over the world. So layoff is really very minor in the larger scheme of the life and cosmos. So I thought, why not just smile it off? And that's what I was doing every day. I was smiling, and I was laughing it off, and I was breathing. I was taking deep breaths. So that's how it led me to think of the title, Smile, Breathe, and Laugh Off a Layoff.
Would you feel comfortable sharing a section of your book with us?
Sure. Okay, sure. Thank you. Perhaps I could read these too?
That's fine.
So the first thing that I wrote in the book, which I felt immediately, and it's not just during the layoff, but through all the challenges that I've gone through that, and I write it here also. During my layoffs, I spent lots of time with my blessing, my son. He visited me, and I visited him at his home. He nurtured and protected me. We went for movies, mini golf, eating out, or just driving. What is a layoff against that? Ha ha ha. And then I put smile, breathe, and laugh. And on each page, either I put all three, or I put one of them, which epitomizes what I said. And each page also has a quotation. So I searched the internet with a matching quotation, which matched that particular what I was mentioning on that. So to match that quotation, this is a quotation. It says, "Of course, if you like your kids, if you love them from the moment they begin, you yourself begin all over again, in them, with them. So there is something more to the world again." And the other one that I'll read is, it's about this picture that I took. I got my pictures taken by a professional photographer to create a portfolio of modeling. It was always a dream. Maybe it's not too late to appear in advertisements. Anyone can try to actualize any dream they might have, especially when they are laid off. You have the opportunity. A whole new world is waiting for you out there. Piano lessons, salsa, learning a new language, making a career out of a hobby. Yes, you can. Be an entrepreneur. Go follow your dreams. Smile. And the quotation that I have on this page to match with that is, I'm a very lucky man or woman. I am living my life with my hobby as my profession. This is by Jim Sullivan. So similarly on each page, I have said different things of how you can, get over. For example, go out for a drive. Or, of course, you have to conserve your finances because you have to take care of your existentialist issues, finances, redoing your resumes, making sure you apply for unemployment benefits. You take care of all of that. But you do also do little things that will keep you upbeat. So go to a local restaurant. It could be a place like Chili's, where I used to love going. You don't spend much, but you sit in an area which has more public around. You feel upbeat watching others. Take your laptop with you or any other way you have for searching for a job. You do that outside. So similarly, there are other things that I've mentioned in the book.
Oh, that's a very good perspective.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
And did you experience any challenges with writing the book, getting it published, or was it pretty much an easy process for you?
Oh, that's a very good question. I don't think authors, unless they become like world-renowned, have it easy to publish. Publishing is not an easy easy profession, I would say. So when I wrote this book, I actually wanted it to be a hard book. It was very difficult to print it because it's very expensive, and I didn't want to waste. I use the word waste because when you're laid off, you want to conserve your finances. I didn't want my savings to go into producing a book that was so costly. So I actually printed it as an ebook on my website, and then I put it on Kindle, Amazon Kindle, which is a free application. But before I put it on my website, I actually approached e-publishers, and everyone wanted to charge money. I even offered to one of them that why don't you take the money out of the sales of the book instead of taking the money up front. And when I kept getting repeatedly, I kept getting no as an answer. Everyone wanted money. Everyone found the book very, fascinating and inspiring. Then I decided to publish it on my own as an ebook. And it's doing pretty well. It's been interviewed in the local Arlington Gazette newspaper. You're interviewing me and other channels. So I'm hoping that it will pick up.
Oh, good. And how has your family and friends, they've been supporting you through this process emotionally and all?
Very much so. And I'll begin with my son. He's absolutely a blessing. And I remember that I have talked about it in the first page before in the introduction, that when I was laid off the first and the second time, he's the one person, he's my greatest friend. So I just called him and I cried about it, and he was just so positive and upbeat about it. My family in India, very supportive. Most of my family is back in India. Some of the friends that I have here, very supportive. I also do mention that if you have friends and family who are not supportive, not to discuss it with them, because they just make you more nervous and anxious, which you don't want to be. But definitely share it with family and friends, because you need more nurturing at this time. You need protection, emotional nurturing, and even maybe financial and physical support in many ways. So I was very lucky to get that support.
That's good. And what about your spiritual or faith practice? How does that tie in with this process, the transition, your book, that whole spectrum?
Very, very nice question. My parents raised us in a spiritual way rather than in a religious way. And though I'm a Hindu by birth, however, my parents took us to a church, to a mosque, to a gurdwara, Buddhist temple, and Hindu temple. So we grew up with the belief that you can go to any place of worship because God is one. So that's one thing that stood by me. I went to a church, I went to a gurdwara in the place that I could go where I live, and a temple. And specifically about Hinduism, Hinduism is more a way of life rather than being a religion which has one book or it has one god. There's so many gods in Hinduism, male gods, female gods. You can pray to one god on Monday or another on Tuesday and Wednesday and so forth. So the practices are not very outlined and structured, which allows for a lot of liberalness and adjustment, I would say. And I think that this allowed me an acceptance that, okay, this is way of life. It happens. It's nothing big, and we have to move on. And all religions teach that, and that comes from my spirituality, that life is different phases you have in life, and you have to accept what comes your way in a positive manner, and not just for yourself, but you want to be a role model for others who come younger and who come behind you. So that's how my faith got me through, that there is something better for me out there. This is not the worst, I'm sure there is a new beginning for me, a new calling for me at this time.
Exactly. And are there any projects you have outside of writing that you're working on now?
Well, I'm focusing on my website, for sure. In terms of working, obviously I'm looking for jobs, but I am not, at this time I think I want to be my own master, having been laid off and twice. And so I want to do something that really captures my imagination, my creativity. I love dancing. I've been learning line dancing for 2 years. I plan to teach it in a gym and in community centers. Yesterday I took my CPR and AED certification for adults and pediatrics.
Oh, great.
Because to teach in gyms you need that certification. So that's one thing. I will continue to write and publish. I will continue to also try to teach as an adjunct professor in different universities. So this is the time that I think I want to use the different knowledge and experience I have and the expertise that I've gained over the years and apply it in different ways so that I can make it a wholesome experience, that I enjoy life and enjoy doing what I'm doing as well.
Oh, great. Awesome. So if anyone's inspired by your story and they want to reach out to you, what different forms of communication would you like for them to reach out to you?
Sure. Definitely my website, www.diversitydiscover.com. They can send me an email, which is my full name, Anita Nahal, Anita Nahal, @diversitydiscover.com. And on the website, on the main homepage, where it says About Us, and if they click on Founder and Chairperson, they'll find information on me. And yeah, that's definitely a way to reach out to me.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on the show today, and your book will help a lot of people, so that is a blessing in itself. So thank you so much for coming on. Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sure, you're welcome. And thank you, and we'll be right back after this break.
So, you feel tired? You've put on some weight? Your joints hurt? Well, you're getting older. But there's some simple things we can do to keep you happy and healthy for years to come. Proper nutrition, less treats, a basic exercise plan, lots of walks and fresh air, and see me for twice yearly checkups. Now, how does that sound? Good boy.
Improve the quality of life for your elderly pet. A message from the veterinary members of the American Animal Hospital Association.
Probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide? Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
And welcome back to Interfaith Connections. Our final guest here today is Leah, who is like the most amazing guitar person you will ever meet. Had the opportunity to hear Leah perform at Unity of Fairfax, and the members there compared her to Tracy Chapman. So I felt like we have to get her on the show as our first musical guest. So welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. And interesting to know, what inspired you to start singing and playing the guitar?
The guitar specifically, a friend in high school. Actually, somebody who wasn't a friend so much as someone that I admired and thought, an interesting person. And looking back on it, bless their souls, they weren't necessarily so cool. It was something that was supposed to draw me to the guitar. Music, that's been a part of my my heritage, my inheritance from my parents.
Oh, okay.
Both musical people.
Okay. And is that like from a church background?
My mother sang and still sings in the Baptist church. My dad plays the trumpet. He's a musical educator and performed around the world with a soul band before I was born. So.
Okay. And do you have any musical inspirations? Like who or what inspires you?
As far as writing, a great deal of my inspiration comes from my kids, specifically my daughter, my firstborn. When she was born, it was as if she were a muse, a muse come into my life to help me re-see. I think Dr. Nahal also mentioned that her son just reinvented the world for her, and it was much the same way with my daughter. But now she's 12, and I'm learning different things from her. And in my writing, I just try my best to keep my eyes open to the world influences from everywhere.
And can you share with us like some background information about your latest CD that's out currently?
Yes, I'm really excited about it. It's called Promise, and it is inspired, each song is inspired by a different scripture. As I mentioned, I was raised in the Baptist church, and I have come to a point in my life where I no longer accept the exclusivity of that upbringing, and it's taken me 10 years from leaving that perspective, that religious perspective, to come full circle and recognize the value and the importance and the worth and the things that I was taught, not from a perspective of this is the only way to find truth, but as a place to look for truth, a starting point, one of many ways that people can find truth. And so with the CD, I've taken scriptures that mean a lot to me even now, despite not considering myself Christian, scriptures that mean a lot to me, and bringing them into a mundane, secular everyday way of seeing, way of experiencing.
And what would you like people to learn or to get or to feel from your music?
Well,
I was trying to connect with the audience.
I definitely hope with this CD specifically, more so than the others were a matter of writing what came to me kind of naturally without considering intention, just writing. This one, I feel, is the most intentional project that I've done. And what I hope people will take from it is a renewed perspective. If they come from a religious background, that they'll be open to seeing the scriptures and the teachings that they grew up with from a more everyday perspective, and people who don't ascribe to or accept religious teachings to see that there is something sacred and divine in the everyday. So I really want to bring sort of my mom and my dad, the two sides of myself, the two sides of my psyche together to recognize that every moment is holy, that every experience is sacred.
Okay. And a fun question. If you were able to dabble in any other type of music, what would that be?
I try to incorporate different styles into what I do. If I look at where I want to expand my music, I guess I'd be interested in doing more jazz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more jazz vocal.
Okay. And is there a particular person or place you would like to open one day?
Well, recently my daughter has inspired me to start listening to more pop music because I'd kind of written off the radio, turn it off, nothing here for me. And she's pointed out to me, Mom, you said the truth is everywhere. So open your ears, open your mind, and listen. And she's turned me on to a fairly new songwriter named Gavin DeGraw. And we both, we can both find something in his music. And, I definitely imagine opening for him.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Awesome. Any hidden talents you have?
No, if it's a talent, I'm showing everybody.
Everything. Okay, everything is out. Okay, awesome. And what are your immediate goals?
Keep doing what I'm doing. I feel like I'm definitely moving in a positive direction. Like I said, being intentional, feeling with deliberate intention where I want my music to go, practicing, writing more, and becoming a better artisan, a better musician, and sharing the music with the world. That's where I want to go. And the more I'm doing that, then I feel like I'm going in the right direction.
Okay. And is that also tied to maybe your long-term goals, or are you looking to produce, or where do you see yourself like 5-10 years from now?
Well, the beauty of being an independent musician is that along the way, you have to learn how to do everything in the music business: marketing, design, booking. If you don't know how to do it, it won't get done. So I have had the opportunity to learn very much along the path, and I'm sure I'll learn more as I'm gathering my team of perhaps more qualified people to do those things. I now know what goes into designing a CD because I've done it for myself. Those are all things, skills that I'm glad I have attained, but what I really look forward to in the future is not having to do those things anymore.
Right.
Solely on my music. Okay. I look forward to that.
And it's interesting you mentioned the CD because the cover is it has like a peaceful kind of serene look to it with promise. Mm-hmm. Is there a backstory behind the cover and the design and the album itself?
The backstory is in the Old Testament.
Okay.
it has a little bit of a rainbow there, and you see more of the rainbow on the back. The story of Noah and the ark, many people will be familiar with. At the end of that story, after the flood is over and Noah's looking at this more or less barren world, there is a bow. Oh. The Bible says that God placed a bow in the sky as a promise that this would never happen again. So for me, it's just a symbol of looking forward, a symbol of renewed hope, a symbol of possibility. And that's where the title came from.
So is it pretty much a transition from your previous work, or it's all interlinked and interconnected?
I had no idea how much I knew when, for example, I was 18 when I started working on my first CD. And I've recently returned to listening to that recording and am amazed by what my 18-year-old self knew, but I didn't know I knew in a concrete way. That these were ideas and concepts and imagery that were coming to me, but that hadn't coalesced into a vision, into a purpose. They were just, it's almost as if, someone was tapping on my shoulder and whispering things into my ear, and I hadn't processed them yet. And now I feel like I'm very clear on my mission, on what I want my music to do, on how I want to present this gift to the world.
And it's interesting with your children, because I know some people say, I want to accomplish my dream, but I don't have time because I'm taking care of the kids, and my kids are a lot, to handle and to deal with, so I haven't had the opportunity to write my book or create my CD or take an acting class or go back to school. How did you make that work with your children?
I will say that having kids is a full-time job. It's a full-time responsibility, and having an artistic passion is a full-time job. I have been very fortunate to have a supportive family. My husband, my sister, my mother, my aunt, people who believe in what I do artistically and who care, obviously, about my kids, so that I've been able to feel confident and comfortable leaving them when necessary to go on tour, to be here for your wonderful show.
Okay. Good. I was looking forward to meeting you.
Another time.
Okay. And in addition to that, because it dawned on me too, with you performing in the area, how have you been received from your audiences? Like, for example, at Unity of Fairfax, you were well received. It was like, Jackie, you got to meet her. And I said, introduce myself, get to learn about you and your style, and here you are. How has that been for you with other venues where you have performed?
It depends on the venue. A story that I always like to keep in mind is that when Joshua Bell, the classical violinist, probably the most famous classical performer in the world right now, or one of them, when he performed unannounced in the D.C. Metro, one person recognized him. And I think he made about $40 in an hour. And that helps me keep in perspective when I come into a venue where I'm perhaps not so well received or where it doesn't quite turn out the way I want it to. So I feel like, successes when people are enthusiastic about the music, that helps propel me forward. And if it doesn't turn out that way, then I remember, you go and you share what you share, and when they're ready, they'll be able to appreciate it.
And what are the benefits of being an independent artist versus connecting with a larger organization? Because I noticed a lot of people have taken that route and they have been very successful. So there's definitely some pluses too.
Certainly. And being an independent artist, I don't think is mutually exclusive of having larger success. It's just more work. It's more challenging. But it's also, it opens you, it gives you more freedom. For example, not to be defined by a corporation, by someone who sees you as a dollar sign or as a commodity rather than an artist. So, just for example, if a record exec weren't comfortable with my hair, I would be faced with the option of changing something about who I think I am to fit. And it might make me sell 1 million more records, but is that a compromise I'd be willing to make?
No. Exactly. Well, yeah, that's good. It's good to know, because I know some people, they feel like, oh, I look a certain way, I have to dress a certain way to get that contract. And I know people can see when a person is genuine versus they're doing it for the money. So it's a good balance and a good perspective that you give, because I feel like there's someone out there who can connect with your message, but like you said, they want to make that switch, they want to make that change because they're no longer authentic. And you always have to remain authentic to be successful in what you want to do. So that's I think that's very important to reach out to people and let them know that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a lot of advantage just in my lifetime since I've started to play the guitar and to write songs. I've seen how the music business, like every other industry, has changed, and that people really can claim and define and make their own careers on the internet. Travel is easier. So being an independent artist now it's really a great way to go, because you can define what your path is going to be.
Yeah, okay. And what is your opinion about the Tracy Chapman comparison?
Thankfully, I've had the opportunity to be in the same small venue and experience Miss Chapman, and I know how powerful she is as a vocalist, as an artist, and I take it as a huge compliment because I know how wonderful she is.
Because I like this, that her style is very unique, and it's not something you can fake. It's totally authentic, and I like to be able to see more of that in the industry with people and their, what they're producing, because it's reaching so many people, and what they're saying in their messages has also a healing power that, depending on what they're going through, it's like it could resonate and they can heal, or, have the inner, like something inside telling them they need to take action on something. Right. So when you, like listening to your music, it was just like, this is what, we still need this out here. We need people to still be able to connect on this on various levels. So I feel like you're doing a very, very great work out here in the community for everyone. And I'm also, if people want to get in touch with you, find out more information, upcoming concerts, how can they do that?
Well, my website is www.thisisleah.com, and Leah is spelled L-E-A. So thisislea.com. Okay.
And it's pretty much covered from this segment, unless you want to say hello to your children.
Say hello to my children. Hi, you guys.
You can wave.
Usually people say, hi, Mom. But
yeah.
Hi, guys.
Well, thank you so much, Leah. I appreciate you coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And we look forward to listening to your music shortly.
Thank you.
Give the audience a piece of what Lee has to offer. I'm very excited. So thank you so much for doing that and coming on the show. And we will be right back and get ready for Lee.
Protect yourself from mannequinism. Volunteer, vote, stay informed. It's easy to get involved.
Too many women get hit by their boyfriends and husbands. Too many women are pressured into having unprotected sex. Half of the people in the world living with AIDS are women. It doesn't have to be this way. Together, we can change this reality. Let's strive for a world free of violence.
This is a song from my CD, Promise. It's called Every Day. Nothing wrong with a Monday. They suited me fine. I never let that one day mess with my state of mind. From Saturday right round to Friday, every single day is gonna be my day. Every day is a great day to feel fine. I hear folks talking about Christmas, and that's alright. But I can tell you that you miss much if you don't see the gift of life. I like Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, every Eid. I'll tell you about the kind of holiday I need. Every day is a great day to feel fine, to feel alright, to let your little light shine. You got it, go on and show it day and night. Take the joy of living everywhere you go and make it so that everyone who sees you knows that every day is a great day to feel fine. Yes, it is. I can tell you about my birthday. That was just the start. And we can talk about Earth Day. It's right here in my heart. You tell me nobody can be happy all the time. I tell you that the secret is inside your mind. Every day is a great day to feel fine, to feel alright, to let your little light shine. You've got it just to flaunt it day and night. You take the joy of living everywhere you go and
make it so that everyone who sees you knows that every day is a great day to feel fine. Yes, it is now. I feel alright to let my little light shine, shine, shine. I've got it, I'm gonna flaunt it day and night. You take the joy of living everywhere you go and make it so that everyone who sees you knows that every day is a great day to feel fine. Let go of your shackles, come be happy with me. Everybody knows the best things in life are free. Every day is a great day to feel fine. I tell you, every day is a great day to feel fine, fine, fine. I know that every day is a great day to feel fine. And this song is also from Promise. It's called 23, after the 23rd Psalm. By the still water I go to meet my guide. Truth restores my soul, I never walk alone. Where I face shadow, my heart will know no fear. Nothing can compare to peace that fills my soul. Love is all I need. My heart is filled with love. My cup is running over, over and over. From the moment that I rise to the day I lay me down, I will set my heart on sharing love. In the cool meadow, God greets me with a song. And in every voice I know I hear my own. Rare, sweet silence, I keep you here in me. And with every breath, I never walk alone. Love is all I need. My heart is filled with love. My cup is running over, over and over. From the moment that I rise to the time I lay me down, I will set my heart on sharing love. My heart is filled with love. My cup is running over, over and over. From the moment that I rise to the day I lay me down, I will set my heart on sharing love. I will set my heart on sharing love. I have set my heart on sharing love.
Thank you for watching Interfaith Connections. I would like to thank my guests for coming on the show today to share their spiritual talent and passions on our show. For more information about Interfaith Connections, you can visit our website at www.interfaithconnections.squarespace.com. Thank you for watching and take care.